The story starts with a writer named Zoya, who is spending her last days in the hospital. She was diagnosed years ago with a large hole in her heart, and now the doctors say she has only 1 week left to live. The doctors tell her husband Donald and her daughter Jane to take her home and spend her final days with her in comfort. Jane's husband is also with them. As they take Zoya home, her family tries different things to make her happy and help her enjoy the last week of her life. But Zoya doesn't talk to anyone. She stays quiet and just watches the days go by. The next day, some people from her publishing company come to visit. They had published many of Zoya's science books and wanted to talk with them one last time about her final book, which is missing its last chapter. They hope to finish and publish it, but Zoya isn't interested. The day after that, Zoya is asked to sign her will. It explains how her property will be divided among her family and that her science books will be donated to an old age home. Her family also takes her to the beach and a massage parlor, hoping she'll feel better. But Zoya remains silent through it all. Why Zoya is so quiet in her final days is a mystery, one that gets revealed later. One day, Zoya visits her mother, Sandra, who lives in an old age home. But Sandra is very old now and doesn't recognize anyone anymore. While Zoya is sitting on a bench outside, another elderly woman comes and sits beside her. Zoya politely tells the woman not to sit there because a bird is about to poop on that spot. Surprisingly, it happens exactly as Zoya said. The woman, shocked, asks Zoya how she knew that was going to happen. Zoya finally reveals her secret. She is stuck in a time loop, reliving the last 7 days of her life over and over again. That's why she's been so silent. She already knows everything that's going to happen. Zoya explains that when she was a young girl, she found a strange bottle filled with pills. After taking one, she discovered that the pills let her go back in time by 7 days. Now she keeps using those pills to restart the last week of her life, just before she dies. Every time she takes a pill, she wakes up again in the hospital, and the same week starts all over again. The bottle of pills never runs out. Every time she goes back in time, the bottle is full again. So she has been through these 7 days thousands of times. She knows everything that's going to happen when her family takes her home, when the publishers come, when they go to the beach, and everything else. On the last day of the loop, her family always surprises her with a birthday celebration. Zoya turns 55 that day, but shortly after that, she starts bleeding from her nose, a sign that she's about to die. So she quickly takes another pill and restarts the week all over again. Time kept repeating like always. Sometimes Zoya would tell the old woman at the retirement home that she was stuck in a time loop, even though she knew no one ever believed her. One day, while sitting with her mother, Zoya saw a news report on TV. The last remaining rhino in the world had been brought to their city. Scientists hoped to save the species by studying and cloning it, but Zoya already knew what would happen. She had seen it before. Every time, that rhino would be killed before the week ended, and the species would go extinct forever. Zoya had been through this loop so many times she was tired. This time she didn't even bother warning the old woman about the bird poop. As she was leaving the bench, she accidentally bumped into a young university student named Paula. While helping her pick up her bags, Zoya noticed something surprising. Paula had several books written by her. Curious, Zoya asked why she had so many of her books. Paula explained that she found them in the retirement home's library, where people often donated old books. She said she was a student doing research on time at the university and that Zoya's books had helped her understand a lot of important theories. Before Zoya could talk more with Paula, Donald arrived to take her home. But on the way back, Zoya started thinking deeply. A new idea came to her. What if she tried to complete her old research about how time works? Maybe if she could finally understand and solve the mystery of time, she could break the loop and never die. Even though Zoya wanted to finish her research, her family believed she only had a few days left to live, so they didn't let her leave the house. They wanted to spend every moment with her and wouldn't allow her to go to the lab. So before the current time loop ended, Zoya made a decision. In the next loop, she would find Paula and work with her to continue the research. She memorized Paula's phone number and address so she could find her again. Then Zoya took another tablet and reset the week, going back in time once more. This time, when she woke up in the hospital, Zoya quickly asked her daughter Jane to go outside and sign the papers with her father. While they were distracted, Zoya quietly escaped through the back door of the hospital. She knew her family would try to keep her at home, thinking it was her last week alive. She ran straight to her house, grabbed her things, and took the bottle of tablets, her only way to reset the loop again later. Then, she rushed to Paula's house. But she had forgotten one thing. Since the loop had restarted, Paula had never met her before. Zoya tried to explain everything about the time loop, the pills, and how she kept reliving the same 7 days. But Paula didn't believe her. To test her, Pola held one hand behind her back and asked Zoya how many fingers she was holding up. Zoya didn't know. It was the first time this had happened. At the end of that loop, Zoya took another tablet and returned to the beginning once again. Just like before, she escaped the hospital and went straight to Pola's house. This time, when Pola held up her fingers to test her, Zoya knew the answer because she had already experienced this moment in the previous loop. She answered all of Pola's questions perfectly and told her about their past conversations that Pola didn't even know had happened yet. Finally, Pola believed her. Now Pola was ready to help Zoya. While walking to the university, Pola asked Zoya how she created the tablets that let her go back in time. Zoya tells her that she didn't make them. In fact, when she was very young, she found a bottle of these strange tablets while playing. She later discovered that taking one tablet would send her exactly 7 days into the past, and every time she traveled back, the bottle would magically refill. This taught Zoya two important things. The tablets only send her 7 days back, no more than that. She can't take another tablet during those 7 days because the effect of the first one has to wear off before she can use another. The strangest part is that the tablets never run out. Even if she uses one, when she goes back in time, the bottle is full again, as if the tablet she took had never been used. Zoya admits she has no idea where the tablets came from or who left them for her. That mystery still remains unsolved. She tells Pola that they should now focus their research on understanding these tablets, how they work, and whether it's possible to extend their power to go further back in time. Zoya adds more strange facts. The tablets can't be destroyed. They don't melt. And even if someone breaks them, they regenerate perfectly after each time loop. It's like they exist outside of time itself. Pola is fascinated and says she'll need to bring a special device from her professor's lab to study how the tablets regenerate. While Pola goes to get the device, Zoya receives a call from her husband, Donald. He's upset and asks where she is. He reminds her that she only has a few days left to live and begs her to come home and spend her final moments with the family. To them, this is the first and only time Zoya is going through this week, and they believe she's dying soon. They don't know about the time loop, so they feel sad and hurt that Zoya is spending her time away from them. On her way to meet her family, Zoya unexpectedly runs into her old college professor, someone she hadn't seen in years. He's excited to see her, saying she was always his most brilliant student. He invites her to his office, and they sit down to talk about old times. While they're talking, the professor suddenly notices Pola sneaking around his office, trying to take a device without permission. When he finds out that Pola and Zoya are working together, he becomes furious. The professor, already holding some old resentment, tells Zoya he's disappointed in her. He reminds her that she used to score 100% in every exam, and he had believed she would grow up to become a groundbreaking scientist who could change the world. But instead, she got married, gave up her career, and disappeared from the scientific world. Angry and hurt, he throws both of them out of his office and refuses to give them the device they need. After they leave, Zoya finally opens up to Pola. She confesses that she didn't really earn those perfect grades back in college. In truth, she used the time-traveling tablets to cheat. "I would take the exam, memorize the questions, then go back in time and take it again," Zoya says. "That's how I always knew the answers. I wasn't as smart as people thought. I just had a secret advantage." She adds that even now she still doesn't know where the tablets came from or who created them. That mystery has stayed with her all her life. As they walk away from the professor's office, Pola reveals a shocking truth. She actually did steal the device they needed. She says the professor had been using it to experiment on a test subject, a person who had been shrunk as part of a failed size reduction experiment. The professor was never able to stop the process, and now that poor person continues to shrink smaller and smaller with every passing moment. Zoya and Pola take the device to a cold, secure place where they can safely place one of the time travel tablets inside it. Their plan is to communicate with the shrinking man trapped inside, hoping he can analyze the tablet at an atomic level and tell them how it works. As soon as they activate the power, the transmitter inside the box turns on, allowing the tiny man to communicate with them. Zoya and Pola speak with him and explain everything. They beg him to help them understand the inner structure of the tablet and how it was made. The tiny man begins analyzing the tablet, but what he finds is far more complex than they ever imagined. He tells them that the structure of the tablet is not fixed. It keeps changing every second. It seems to exist simultaneously in the past, present, and future, as if it's not just an object, but a piece of time itself. Both Zoya and Pola are stunned. They realize that they don't have the advanced tools or even the mental capacity to truly understand understand how the tablet works. Their equipment is too old and unstable, and it can't handle the strange energy inside the tablet. Still, Zoya refuses to give up. She continues using the tablets, repeating the time loop again and again. Each time she escapes from the hospital, convinces Pola again that she can time travel, and they begin the research from scratch. Even though Pola forgets everything with each loop, Zoya patiently wins her trust every time. In between all this, Zoya also finds moments to visit her family, because for them, each loop is their one and only time with her, and they believe she's dying. Despite all her efforts, Zoya made no progress in understanding the tablets. The time loops continued endlessly. Each time she would take a tablet just moments before her death, resetting the week to dedicate those 7 days solely to research. But even after countless loops, the mystery of the tablets remained unsolved. Pola, too, had her own reasons for wanting answers. There was a painful moment from her past that she desperately wished to undo. But to go back far enough, they would first need to unlock the true potential of the tablets, something that remained out of reach, no matter how many times they tried. Curious, Pola once asked Zoya if she had ever tried studying the tablets back in college. Zoya admitted that she had. She'd done a little research in her student days, but had stopped, believing at the time that the tablets were a gift, something miraculous she shouldn't question too deeply. She mentioned that her early notes might still be stored among her mother's old belongings at the retirement home. As another week came to an end, Zoya took the tablet once more and returned to the start. This time, after convincing Pola again and explaining everything from the beginning, they went straight to the retirement home in search of her old college research. But instead of Zoya's notes, they found the research journals of Mark, her former college boyfriend. Confused and curious, Zoya wondered how Mark's papers ended up with her mother's things. And more importantly, where was Mark now? While she stood puzzled, a nurse gently approached her and said, "Your husband, Donald, has been looking everywhere for you. He's very worried." At that moment, Zoya remembered what she had been ignoring for so long. In every loop, her family searched for her, hoping to spend her final days together. They would prepare birthday surprises, plan peaceful outings, and wait for her with love and sorrow, believing this week was her last. But every time, Zoya would slip away to focus on the tablets, leaving them behind. Now, for the first time, Zoya truly felt the weight of her choices. She realized that in trying to save herself, she had been hurting the people who loved her most, again and again, in each repeated week. She turned to Pola, her voice heavy with emotion, and said, "I'm tired. I've lived the same week hundreds of times, locked away in labs, running from death, running from my family. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to spend my time with them, not in isolation, not chasing answers I may never find." But Pola, still holding on to hope, urged her not to give up just yet. "What if the key is Mark?" she said. "If we find him, maybe we'll finally understand what the tablets are and where they came from." "Just one more time, Zoya. Let's try again." Zoya asked Pola why she wants to go back in time so badly and why she hasn't tried using one of the tablets herself yet. Pola explains that during her research, she discovered something important. The large hole in Zoya's heart might be a side effect of using the tablets for so many years. Zoya has been taking them for over 40 years, and Pola believes that's what caused her heart condition. That's why Pola refuses to take the tablets without proper testing, and besides, going back just 7 days isn't enough to help her anyway. With a heavy heart, Pola shares her painful story. When she was just 15, she secretly took her parents' car for a drive. A nail got stuck in one of the tires, but she was too scared to tell her father. Later, her parents used the same car, and the tire burst while they were driving. It caused a terrible accident, and both of Pola's parents died. That's why Pola is so desperate to learn the truth behind the tablets. She wants to go back far enough in time to save her parents from that tragic accident. Hearing this, Zoya realizes something important. She had only been thinking about saving herself, but Pola also has a deep and painful reason for wanting to time travel. Zoya promises Pola that she will give her all to the research and help her find answers. She also says she'll track down her ex-boyfriend Mark, who might still have her old research from college. But Zoya's nose starts to bleed again, a sign that she's about to die. So once again, she takes a tablet and resets the week, going back 7 days. This time, instead of meeting Pola first, Zoya goes straight to her old professor. She tells him the truth, that she used to cheat in college by using the tablets to go back in time and memorize the test questions. The professor is angry at first, but after hearing her honest apology, he forgives her. To Zoya's surprise, the professor still has Mark's phone number and address. He gives her the information, and now Zoya has a real lead to finally find Mark and uncover the truth behind the mysterious tablets. As Zoya made her way to Mark's address, memories of their last meeting came rushing back. It had been years ago, at a college reunion party held at the airport. Mark had gone gone on to become a well-known physicist, while Zoya had drifted away from science. She never saw him again, mostly because she felt ashamed. Her perfect college grades weren't earned honestly. She had used time travel to cheat on her exams. That guilt kept her from ever reaching out to Mark. When she arrived at his house, she was greeted by Mark's son, who gave her heartbreaking news. Mark had passed away. He had spent his entire life absorbed in his research, ignoring his health until it was too late. Zoya felt a deep sadness for him. Still, she explained why she had come. Mark's son understood and led her to Mark's old study. To her surprise, she saw not only her original research papers, but also notes from Mark, showing that he had been working to solve the mystery of the tablets too. Even after all these years, he hadn't forgotten her or the work they once shared. Mark's son quietly admitted something that hurt even more. "My dad worked day and night trying to make me proud, but I just wanted time with him." Zoya gently comforted him, realizing how familiar that pain was. Later, as she read through the research papers, Zoya glanced at her phone and saw a string of voice messages from her husband and daughter. They were crying, begging her to come home and spend her last days with them. At that moment, it all hit her. She had been doing the same thing as Mark, choosing work over the people who loved her, and now her body was weakening from the strain of so many time jumps. Just as her health began to fail again, Zoya took another tablet at the last possible second, pulling herself back once more into the past, to try again. This time, Zoya knew exactly what she needed to do. She didn't run to the lab. She didn't rush to solve the mystery. Instead, she went straight to her family and hugged them tightly. For the first time in what felt like forever, she smiled with real joy on her way home, knowing that this time, she wouldn't reset the clock again. This was her final week. Zoya spent every moment fully present, talking kindly to everyone, laughing with them, and cherishing every second. She shared deep conversations with her husband, remembering the day they first met and all the memories they'd made together. She let herself feel everything. She was finally living. She signed her will with peace in her heart. She took a walk on the beach with her family, watching the waves roll in one last time. She took her mother to see the last remaining rhino, knowing what fate awaited it at the end of the week, but also knowing how important it was to witness that moment together. And on the seventh day, the day she knew she would die, Zoya visited Pola. This time, Pola didn't remember anything. They hadn't done any research in this loop, but that was okay. Zoya handed Pola a folder with all of her research and the bottle of time travel tablets. She looked at Pola and said, "I finally understand. I spent so many loops trying to save myself, but in the end, it was never about me. It was about you. You're the one who's meant to finish this." She revealed what she had come to believe, that in the future, Pola would solve the mystery of the tablets, and someday, it would be the future version of Pola who would go back in time and leave the bottle for a young Zoya to find, completing the loop. With tears in her eyes, Zoya smiled and said, "Now it's your turn." She returned home to celebrate her final birthday. Her family had planned a small surprise, and her daughter shared joyful news. She was pregnant, and if it was a girl, she would name her after her mother, Zoya. Zoya's heart was full. This time she didn't need to run. She didn't need to escape. She looked at her family, her eyes shining, and whispered goodbye. And finally, for the first time, Zoya accepted her fate and gently let go. And with that, the story ends.